It's good to see you guys. Disappointing game for us on Saturday. Today's an opportunity to dive into the tape and make all the corrections and get our team back together tight. And what an opportunity with this next week. Have so much respect for Coach Malzahn and just the offensive mind and the teams that he's had in the past, and have been watching a bunch of Auburn film along with just the myriad of things that we've got to defend from UCF. So their film as well, and it's a challenge, but what a great opportunity. And it's a game that's a big one for us to go out and play well and to win. And so I know that I feel that way, and the staff does. I know the team does too. And so we're excited to get to it. Take any questions you guys have.
Dave, in terms of the red zone, you guys, drive it down there 6 times, get 2 field goals. Is it a mindset? Is it execution? I mean, what is the key to finishing off those drives with touchdowns?
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's both. I think the early in the game, I think we had some specials that we called. There was a double pass we did not execute. There was a look over kind of gadget play that we didn't execute, and those are plays that were kind of were repped and were valued for a situation like that. So to not execute them in the moment is disappointing. And I think the execution is at its greatest for us, unfortunately, in the low red zone when it's the tightest and the less space and just all of that. And so that's a huge area for us to improve on. I think throw game-wise, the windows were so tight that we've really got to pull the trigger on those things and on those balls and get them off. I think there's the one that we actually did that. It was picked off at the end, And so I think those areas are challenges for us. There's a huge emphasis. We're working on that today. And so I think for us to be down that many times and not get points, you can't expect to win.
Dave, your first time getting to hit the road this season, how important is it for you guys to kind of almost press the reset button after the first 4 home games and get back to it maybe in a hostile territory?
Appreciate that. Yeah, the anticipating it to be hostile, anticipating I know the turnout they're going to have and the excitement they're going to have. And so for us, it's to play together and play hard. I think those 2 things are required and are on a to-do list for us. And that starts, today with, telling the truth on what happened on Saturday and getting the necessary adjustments and fixes, and then going in with a mindset that it's going to be us versus UCF in a really hostile spot. And so I feel good about that. I feel good about the staff and their view. And having talked with a bunch of players yesterday, I feel good about their view too. And so excited to get to it.
Dave, what's the marker for success now with 8 games left? Is it a bowl game, 8 wins? What's left?
We're aiming to win every game that we got, and so it's going to be a challenge with all of it, but that's our aim, and that's been our aim. I think per the previous question, and I understand the reset button, and I understand that view, but we have to take all the things that we've been through and learn from them and apply them and get better. And so I just think for us to have success, we can't be making the same mistakes again, And so whether it's young people that are going through something for the first time, or it's a veteran that has been battling a thing and has got to get over it, or it's a better game plan by me or by us, we have to be at our best to finish the way that we need to finish, and that's our plan.
You've mentioned execution a lot, too. Do you feel like these losses are more lack of execution or more strength of opponent?
Appreciate that question. I think it's probably both. I think in this last game in particular, a lot of respect for Texas and just their ability and line of scrimmage, I think was something that we did not play very well and did not match up, and so it's disappointing. But I think, for the young people that we got playing, we have a few of them where the bright lights in the big cities, and there's no stopping it, and there's a few others that one step forward, two steps back, and I think that's how most of us go. Now, we have to learn from those things, and so that the next time into it, we're not in the same spot we were before. And I feel like that's a huge push by me and by the staff and by the team. And I feel like we do that, we will continue to get better.
Dave, despite whatever you are as a person, whoever you are, when you look at yourself in the mirror as a football coach, as a head coach, what has gone wrong? And how long will it take to fix it? You kind of answered that a little bit just now.
Yeah, I think we have to be able to look at, I appreciate the question, we have to be able to look at the things that we're not performing well in, and we have to, take any of the emotion out of it, and we have to look at, whether it's a coaching error or it's a personnel issue or it's we're asking too much here or we're not devoting enough time here. We have to get all the emotion out of it and just address the kind of the reality of it and fix it, And I think things like that can, it's as simple and as difficult as that, because a lot of times emotion gets into it. But, I love the staff and I love the fact that they are all in and they want to address things and they don't hold back and they want to get better. And so I feel like that's the journey that we're on.
How has the staff reacted to this start? I mean, is there some truth serum that has to be looked at? And,
yes.
And do they understand the consequences?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Coach, when it comes to this week, could you give us an update on Blake and if he'll be ready to go?
Blake right now is day-to-day, and so we're going to look at him today. He'll be with us in our team sessions today, and so excited to be able to see him out there.
Are you expecting Timmy McClain or John Rice Plumlee this Saturday? Prepare for both.
We're preparing for both. Yep.
Dave, you talk about Tell the Truth Monday.
Yes.
I mean, that's part of what y'all do. When you go through those film sessions and you're breaking it down, I assume it's not just the players that you're evaluating.
Yes.
I mean, do you guys look at man, that was not the right play call for that
Yes.
situation? I mean, and sort of evaluate yourselves as coaches.
Very much. Yeah, I think, or I know from our staff meetings it's that way. But then more importantly, it's in front of the team it's that way. I think if it was all kind of pointing fingers, that would be clearly seen and clearly taken as a blaming thing. And so when it is the truth and it's, here is what I was thinking in the situation, and now reflecting on it, this could have been better, or here's something that we could have repped it maybe a different way. All of those things I think are real, and I think when it's talked about that way, we're getting better, but we're all in it together, and I think that's the key. And that's where a lot of my faith and our faith in just our finish is that it's all still together, and I think how we handle these moments are critical to that.
Dave, you got Jordan Neighborson touches out of the backfield this past week. Is that looking like a more permanent move, or is that just trying to get him touches?
Appreciate that. Yeah, that would be a permanent move, and so that, along with some reps as a returner, I think finding ways that he can get the ball in his hands more is going to be a major goal for us.
Dave, Garrison obviously had a couple big plays the other day, but how has he developed just as a deep snapper? How have you seen him grow?
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think off the field, academically, I think just his growth just as a young man has been really strong. I think it's been intentional by him. I think it matters to him. So there's been a lot of maturity there, and as always, that is just tied into football. And I think just the details and his work ethic and his care factor have all just skyrocketed. So not a surprise that he was there to make the play that he made.
How big was it to get Devin Lear back for this last game, and what has he added to the defense with the big game that he had?
Yeah, appreciate that. Leadership, toughness, been there, done that. I think he's got voice. When he speaks, everybody listens. There's great respect for him, And so I think he only added to that with his performance.
Coach, UCF gave up 281 yards to Kansas State last week on the ground. You know, how important is that run game going to be for you guys heading into that territory?
Appreciate that. It's going to be very important for us to get back to our style and for the line of scrimmage to go the way we want it to go. And I think to set up the throw game and to set up just everything we do on offense, we've got to be able to move the line of scrimmage the other way. And so it's going to be a major factor for us. And great respect for UCF. I think, you know, they've got some defensive tackles that are big guys that knock people back, and they've got pop in them, and they've got linebackers that can run. And so they're disruptive on that side of it. And so it'll be a challenge for us.
Coach, I know Sawyer seemed, you know, he made more throws, and obviously, I don't know if it was mentioned enough, but there were several drop balls, and it seemed like he was making better throws. I mean, what do you kind of make of just kind of the experience he's had so far, and even just how do you evaluate just how he's done overall, especially the position that he's been put in this season?
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. I think he has felt the weight of it, and as much as we've tried to not have him feel the weight of you know, this season, the record, the way, all of it, he feels it. And he's such a great kid, he wants to do something about it all by himself. And so I think that's probably been the biggest fight of all the fights. But, you know, great family, mom and dad, and just all of it, I think has really prepared him for these moments. And so way proud of him.
Coach, post-game, Devin was talking about how he's noticing that a lot of the motivation that the guys are getting is externally, not necessarily within. Where do you think the disconnect is there, just in terms of keeping the guys motivated to push through during some of these difficult times?
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's probably really common with people, you know, and probably young people in particular. And so I think to get it to where you know, to get it to where, hey, this is my why. This is why I play. This is why I coach. This is why I do it. And I believe it is not reasonable and it's not factual to think that outside things don't get in. I think they're going to get in. It's a matter of using the stuff that gets in for positive purposes and repackaging that for a way that's for good, as opposed for, you know, I'm going to show this person or I'm going to, you know, all that. And so I think that's the challenge.
To that end, like when you go on the road this week, I mean, there can be kind of distractions at home sometimes. I mean, on the road you're maybe a little more insulated.
Yes.
And, you know, us against the world kind of thing. I mean, could that be an opportunity for growth? Or
yes, that was the case last year, you know, and I think would like to not have that necessarily be the case, but that was the case last year. And I think there are things that can be better grown, let's say, when you're on the road.
What I think kind of about those road wins last year, you think back to Oklahoma, it kind of seemed like a big turning point for you guys. Are you taking anything from that game, maybe heading into this game, in terms of, you know, maybe establishing that momentum?
Appreciate that. Yeah, the approach is going to be similar in that we have to really be tight, coaches, players, just relationship-wise, and a lot of that starts today with telling the truth. You know, if there's something that happened, we got to be able to talk about it, but talk about it in a way that it's bringing all of us up, that it's not leaving anyone behind or putting the blame on this or that, but here's something we as a group can get better, and here we are now improving. And I think that what that'll allow us to do is in tough environments, when it's, you know, Baylor versus the city of Orlando, then we can stay tight and we can stay together, you know, in those moments. And then I think it's playing hard. And so being in those moments to where you know that the person to your left and right of you are giving everything they got. And I think, you know, that is what happened last year, and we're certainly aiming for that in this one.
How's the injury recovery process going for certain guys like Dom Richardson or Jarrell Boykins, and just ramping up, getting them more snaps?
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think Dom re-injured his ankle, I think, the end of the first half. He feels good now. Jarrell is working to get back in shape. We're hopeful that we're getting 5 to 7 guys back this game that have been out. I mean, the Trey Emerys, there's a fair amount. Reggie Bushes, there's a fair amount of guys that have been out. You know, we had 3 corners for Saturday's game, and so it'll be good to get guys coming back. Tevin Williams, and so you know, with Blake being a possibility there, and so we're hopeful that this week goes as good as it can go, and we're at probably the most full strength we've been since game 1.
Dave, working on a little bit of a different story here, going to talk about the diet of Gavin Byers. Does the coaching staff have to monitor that much, or do y'all have a say in kind of what they have to eat and how they can kind of stay up to speed in that regard?
Yes. Now, Gavin's not one we necessarily have to worry about too much. I think we've got a fair amount of guys that need to put on weight and gain weight, and so I actually had a meeting with our nutritionist about that today, about ways that we can better do that. But I think, you know, there's, you know, downstairs just in this building, there's certain rows where there's you know, vegetables, there's healthy fats, there's all of the things. And so, you know, for some folks, it's kind of walking them side by side, you know, hey, this is the smart choice, this is maybe not as delicious, but is the smarter thing and all that. You know, I think for Gavin's one that he'll eat anything. And so it's probably the reason why you're doing the story on him. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you guys.